Welcome to Sports Scouts. I'm Joey Goodser.
I'm Michael Rope.
And we're recording this episode 2.5 on Wednesday, February 5th, 2020. We are going to talk XFL, MLB, a little bit of college football, and that's basically what's going on today. So we're going to do all of that, but first, Michael will give you some scout scores.
Yeah, so we're recording this on Wednesday, February 5th, so I have the most recent scores. So girls basketball had their senior night last night against Warren and won 46-40. Boys basketball beat Lake Zurich 51-37 and will be up against Mundelein at home on Saturday. Boys hockey hits the ice for their next playoff game against Prep tonight. Lake Forest College, their next game will be on Saturday. Wrestling has regionals at Grays Lake Saturday, so good luck to them. Girls hockey tied at 5 with Maine and have the All-Star game coming up Monday. The scouts that are invited are Sarah Matthews, who's a goalie, Abby Benjamin, who's on the defense, Tess Clark, also defense, and Kennedy Steid, who's a forward. And gymnastics has regionals on Thursday at home. Boys swimming and diving had their senior night last night against Stevenson, and will begin championship season with the JV invite on Saturday at Stevenson, followed by the JV and varsity conference at home next Saturday. Cheerleading has their senior recognition next Thursday. Last but certainly not least, congrats to the Poms and dance team for finishing second in the nation down at Nationals over the weekend. So that's what I got this week, and there's a lot going on. So we'll keep you posted heading into next week.
Yep, lots of things coming to an end. This is usually the part where we're transitioning here. New sports getting started up. You guys just had your first track practice pretty recently. Lots of other sports getting started. That's all going. So it's all exciting. Things are coming to their championship ends. We had a great end to our fall season, so let's see what happens with the winter here. So thanks, Michael. That was Scout Scores. And if you want more in the latest in LFHS Sports, check out the latest articles on the 4Scout. They are just starting to really roll through. This last week we had a full week of stuff. Really just basketball stuff continuing. And we're trying to get more broader coverage. We had a gymnastics story out. And that's basically it as of now. But we're going to get more. There's a great story on the state board ceremony that was at the halftime of one of the boys basketball games recently. So that's a good story too. That covers all of that. If you're a fan of girls tennis, boys golf, or you're a fan of Kylie Rabjohns after she won back-to-back, check out that story because it's an exciting thing. That was a great fall season. So let's see what the winter can do. So if you have any scores you want to bring in, we screwed up somehow, just send in the scores and forward them into news to sportscoutspodcast@gmail.com so Michael can give it a shout out. So let's move on to national sports with Show Me What You've Got. All right, so I feel obligated to kind of address this news in some format. So my Show Me What You've Got is the very, very recent news as of yesterday that Mark Dantonio will be stepping down as Michigan State head coach. This is obviously a big deal in the college football world since he was the winningest coach in Michigan State program history and has since kind of fallen off and is now taking that step back. Obviously, for me, I kind of find it funny because things are coming to a pretty sketchy end for him in his career there. So, we were expecting that this was probably going to happen within the year. But, yeah, it actually happened. So, it'll be interesting to see what Michigan State brings in next because things are definitely not looking positive as far as the athletic program and especially football. So, we're going to see what happens with that. But, yeah, so that's a very, very big figure at that program who is now stepping down. And we'll see what happens next. But that's my Show Me What You've Got because that was, even though it seemed to be forthcoming, that was important news. So there you go.
Yeah, my news, it's long overdue, I guess, because with football season, we've just been focusing on that so much. But I just want to get, now with the Super Bowl behind us, I want to get into baseball because that's basically the next big season that's up for national sports. Of course, we still have the All-Star game for the NBA, and then college basketball will be going on for quite a while yet. So we have plenty to look forward there in both of those sports. But I just want to talk about real fast the NL Central right now. I mean, the state of the NL Central, kind of the balance of power that's there. Because with the Cardinals who won the division last year, I mean, the Cubs, we've seen them take quite a few steps back. From I guess 2018 to 2019, and it could be even more this year because of all the uncertainty that surrounds the team. But I just want to talk about the Reds right now because the moves they made, they put all their chips in the center of the table, and they're really going for it. And they showed last year at the trade deadline when they traded for Trevor Bauer from the Indians. They were clearly out of the playoff contention at the time, but they still made a move that showed that they were a year away, I guess, from competing, because making that move that they showed that they are willing to give up prospects to go in a win now mode, and they've shown since then. They've shown that this offseason, getting Mike Moustakas, Nick Castellanos, adding another Cub, Pedro Strop, to their bullpen, Wade Miley. So they've really bolstered their rotation, and also last year getting Sonny Gray from the Yankees when Gray was kind of washed up, I guess, with the Yankees, and they turned him into he was an all-star last year, so they turned him into a top-of-the-line starter. So the Reds are really, a scary team, and to relate that back to the Cubs, I'm worried for them. I think it could be possibly a fourth-place finish for them this year. Really the only team that, they probably could, that I see them for sure beating is probably the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are kind of a mess right now. But the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Reds it's going to be a dogfight probably between those three teams. And the Cubs, I think they have as good of a shot to win 72 games, and they have to win 92 games because of just the uncertainty that surrounds them right now. So the NL Central will definitely be kind of like the NFC North in football. It's going to be a conference where there's a lot, where basically anything can really happen. So the Reds have really stepped up their game this offseason, and they're going to be an exciting team to watch, along with another team like the White Sox on the other side, I guess, of the spectrum, being in the NL. But they're a team that's made a lot of moves, and they brought excitement for their fans this year. So that's my news for this week.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I worried about with the whole Astros sign stealing thing, which has thickened and has run its course in many ways in the news. Obviously, a scandal that was well warranted, but I thought that it was scary, as I thought that the league was trending back toward support of the big teams. And obviously, there being an unbalance between the big teams and the rest of the MLB is something that's been very, very prevalent and more true than many other sports. There's not many other sports where you have, the Yankees just basically using the rest of the league as scout teams at one point in their history. And so, it worried me that we were kind of heading back in that direction. I think that this is a good sign that maybe that won't happen. I'm just excited to see some seriously competitive baseball. That's the biggest thing. If we can get a lot of parity in this league, then it's going to build up to having a lot more of an exciting October in the end here.
And I also think putting in the luxury tax too also helps the smaller market teams, because
for sure
teams can no longer go over and spend a crazy amount of money. If they do, they'll lose draft picks. So there is now, the Yankees can no longer, like you said, use other teams just to steal their players more or less, and pay them more money. So the Reds and other teams it's benefited like the smaller market kind of teams, but the Reds have shown that they can be able to spend big money too this offseason. So
yep, for sure.
Yep.
All right, so that's the end of Show Me What You've Got, and let's move into news. So our news story today is basically the biggest news story of the week so far. So over the last handful of years, the sports world has become used to seeing the Los Angeles Dodgers fall just short of expectations, whether that's Clayton Kershaw being one of the greatest pitchers of all time, except in October, or the team not necessarily pulling through on World Series bids, on National League pennant bids, etc. But reports that we're seeing now are basically becoming clear that there is a massive trade with the Red Sox that is featuring the likes of, obviously, MVP Mookie Betts and starting pitcher David Price that may be changing that. So, Michael, do you think this could be the last ingredient that the Dodgers need to finally pull through to the next level?
I do like this move for both sides. I think it's definitely, the Dodgers have a lot of really good outfielders already. With Cody Bellinger, and they did trade away Jock Peterson to create room for Mookie. But I think this is a really solid deal for the Red Sox and the Dodgers, because the Red Sox, it made it sound Mookie, he wants that $400 million contract, and I just don't think the Red Sox are really willing to give him that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And this is just it is a 1-year deal. a $27 million deal with the Dodgers, and it'll be interesting to see if the Dodgers. I mean, I'm sure now that he's in LA. I mean, the Dodgers will make a big push for him in 2021 when he's a free agent. But I mean, it just shows right now that Dodgers, they're going all in yet again and coming up short in multiple World Series and NLCSs over the last 5 years. The Dodgers really need a championship, and their window is. I mean, the window's still open, but I mean, they only have. It's like football too. You only have a certain amount of years to get the job done, and they've been so close. Game 7 of the World Series, they lost that, and then of course 2016 against the Cubs, they were so close yet again. And they were in the World Series against the Red Sox, they lost that. But I mean, the Dodgers, I mean, with Bellinger and Mookie Betts in the same outfield, that's a pretty scary sight. And then having guys like Corey Seager in the infield, I mean, that's a very scary team to face.
They're definitely building things up. I mean, obviously he's not the name he used to be, but I mean, packaging Mookie Betts with David Price in one deal is pretty substantial. Pretty substantial. I mean, I guess that's why it's such big news, and it's in many ways taken over the week in sports news because, we've been waiting to see when the Dodgers are finally going to get it because they've come crazy close so many times and in such a short recent period of time that I mean, this if anything, if there's any move that's going to be the next step for them, it's definitely this. So this is definitely a big news.
I do like
if you're a Dodgers fan.
the prospect that the Red Sox got, Alex Verdugo.
For sure.
He's only been in the league for 2 years, I think, and I mean it's better to get something at least. If Mookie, I mean, there must have been, I mean, in the inside of the organization that they must have knew that Mookie was probably going to leave. So at least they did get something. People were saying after it came out, oh my gosh, the Red Sox got fleeced. But I mean, just thinking about the contract wise, if Mookie was going to leave, you might as well get something. And Verdugo is a very solid player to, I mean, not replace Mookie, but I mean, just for a player that's young and still has a lot of potential to show. So I think the Red Sox did I think they did the right move by getting rid of money with both Mookie and Price, and then also getting a prospect like Verdugo back. So,
yep, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so that's definitely our big news for this week. So we are going to move into They Don't Scout Like This because we do not have a guest this week. Hopefully that'll happen another week, but we were excited about having Wilson and Luke on last week. So here's They Don't Scout Like This.
This is our moment, our story to tell. This is history begun. This is the XFL.
All right, so perhaps the most exciting thing about this week, at least for me in sports, is the XFL having its debut weekend coming up here with with their interesting format of having 2 games on Saturday and 2 games on Sunday. So their 8 teams are going to be facing off here. We got the Seattle Dragons against the DC Defenders in the first game on Saturday. The Los Angeles Wildcats and the Houston Roughnecks in the second game on Saturday. The Tampa Bay Vipers and the New York Guardians in the first game on Sunday. And St. Louis Battlehawks and Dallas Renegades finishing it off. Obviously, the biggest thing is this has been a league that's been being put together for a long time. Alternate football leagues are not something we haven't talked about on this show. So the big thing that I do have to point out with the XFL is it's the return of the WWE version of football, but I don't think they're necessarily pushing that as hard as they used to. It's definitely geared at being more of an alternate football league to be played in the spring as just kind of an alternative to the NFL with some fun rule changes. I think the biggest thing is, considering that they've been planning this out for about a year, even more, it's going to be geared up for it having a lot more success. So that's what's exciting about it. There's definitely some players to be noted.
Notably, I guess, Cardell Jones, who was,
sure.
I mean, he led OSU to, of course, that championship with Urban Meyer back. How many years ago was that now?
That's been 2014, I
yeah,
want to say.
That sounds about right. I mean, it's crazy how time flies, but...
Yeah, second year of the playoff, I'm pretty sure. Or no, first year of the playoff.
Was it the first year?
Yeah, I think
it was, yeah.
They beat Oregon in the
Another guy,
championship.
Tyree Jackson. I mean, they're both going to be on the DC Defenders, it looks like. And Landry Jones is another one. He's on the Dallas Renegades. And Connor Cook, of course, who played at Michigan State.
Yeah.
He'll be on the Houston Roughnecks. And do you know anybody else, Joey?
That's pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much it. There's not too many, but there's a couple notable players that are spread out to be noted. I don't know. I think the biggest thing for me is I'm just going to be interested to see how this plays out. They're being broadcast across both Fox and ABC/ESPN, so we'll see how it goes. Because obviously the first weekend after the Super Bowl is over, so that's the biggest thing. So looking forward to that. Let's take a look at some of the rule changes, because I really think that's the big thing to note. There are not quite as many crazy rules as there were in the original, but there are plenty of different rules. So the big thing is what's going to be their take on kickoffs and punts. All right, kicker kicks from the 30-yard line and must kick the ball in the air and in play between the opponent's 20-yard line and the end zone. Coverage team lines up on the return side 35-yard line, and return team lines up on the 30-yard line. So it's kind of a different formation, and the players are a lot more close together, so it kind of avoids like the running into each other full speed. So something interesting, something new. Everybody's trying to get something different when it comes to the kickoff. So that's one thing. The point after touchdown, they're not doing extra points. They have a 3-tiered point system. 1 point is run a play from the 2, 2 points run a play from the 5, and 3 run from the 10. So that's always interesting. They're definitely hitting on all the common places in the rules where that have been debated about lately. New rules for overtime. So there's 5 rounds, staged in alternating single play possessions, kind of like NHL shootouts. So it's a little bit more similar to college, but it's a lot more sudden death, which I kind of like. And yeah, I mean that's definitely better than the NFL overtime rules in my opinion. I think there's a couple new ones. There's the double forward pass, which is allowed. That's like the biggest one that I've heard the most, is you can forward pass twice. That's the biggest thing. Faster play clock, 25 seconds. The comeback period, I didn't know about this. There's on plays that end in the field of play, the game clock will be stopped until the ball has been spotted and 5 seconds have run off the play clock. Team can outrun the clock out until there's only 1 minute remaining. Interesting. So there's like avoiding running the clock out. Outside the last 2 minutes, the game clock is running. That's interesting too. Definitely decreasing things. Maybe definitely a take on the NFL games being crazy long. 2 timeouts per half, and players need just 1 foot in bounds like college. So definitely a good combination of rules. They really the goal is, and this was kind of the marketing ploy from the beginning, is give an alternative to the NFL and push that and see if they can find a market that way. So it'll be interesting to see. So we'll be excited to see that. So the XFL will be on in the afternoon and evening on both Saturday and Sunday. Michael, do you have any other things on the XFL?
I just think that, I mean, it's kind of nice to have, I mean, a new league, because this was, I mean, we kind of saw with the other league that the AFL, kind of how that kind of didn't really work. We had, I mean, 1 or 2 games, and then it really, I mean, it folded in. So I hope that this league, I mean, people are actually pretty excited about this. So
right. There's a lot more behind it and a lot more supporting it, which is the exciting thing.
And actual funds, because that's where the other
they had no money. It's crazy that they thought that they were going to be able to have a league. But that's what ended up happening. So
it was the AFL, right? The other one
was AAF.
Or the AAF, excuse me. Yeah.
Otherwise known as the AF.
I'm thinking of the old
the USFL.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, the USFL. The USFL was a legitimately, I mean, at least in my opinion, the USFL was a legitimate alternate league because they were actually getting good players.
Or I guess the AFL, the American Football League, the old.
Well, that's even older, pre-Super Bowl. The USFL actually got like Herschel Walker that year, and that was a big deal. But then,
of course, we know what happened there.
we know what happened to the USFL. Yeah, Donald Trump comes in, our president decides he wants to compete with the NFL, and it didn't really work.
And then
he doesn't enjoy talking about that.
Yeah, and then that's kind of a crazy development, because I mean, to get a player like Herschel Walker in that kind of league, I mean,
right, it was big. I mean, at that time too, like in the 80s ish, like that was like a big time for alternate leagues across sports. So that was a good thing. We'll see what the XFL can do. I do think if there's any league that's going to be the modern answer, it's definitely this. All right, so welcome to a surprise edition of Your Scouting, because look at who's here.
Carson Ward, there's no camera today because Joey's hair is all, bleached. But, Carson Ward, shout out all my water cooler fans, And I got a question for you guys. You think, Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. What do you think about that? Do you think he bets on the games, or is that just a coincidence that that's his last name?
I think it's just a coincidence. I find it funny that you make fun of my bleached hair when your nickname's Blondie.
Yeah, but this is natural blonde.
I see. So you have a superiority complex behind it. Got it. Okay. So yeah, no, Mookie Betts, exciting move. Yeah, I don't think he bets on games. Michael, what do you think? No betting on games.
You never know, but
Why is his last name Betts?
ask his parents though.
Speaking of betting, I am taking the Reds to win the World Series.
We talked about the Reds today. Unironically talked about the Reds.
Yeah, Ryan Peters got me on board. It's a shame that they didn't win it last year. I'm pretty sure Peters, loan shark, broke his leg. But the Yankees got a good shot. White Sox. The White Sox will be facing the Reds in the World Series.
That's an interesting
The White
take.
Sox are the new team in Chicago. Edwin Encarnacion. We got Michael Kopech back from Tommy John surgery to tag along with Lucas Giolito. Water cooler out.
All right, there's Carson Ward from the Water Cooler. Check out their show. As always, they've definitely made their impact when it comes to podcasts on this site lately. So
Sign Greg Olson, Bears.
actually, I agree with that. Sign them.
I do agree with that.
I like Greg Olson a lot. I wish we had him still.
But we paid Trey Burton like $7.5 million guaranteed next year, so
Yeah.
so we really can't. We don't really have too much flexibility
That's
there.
the whole thing. So yeah, your scouting. I guess that's just one way to say. Make sure you send in your questions for next week at 224-544-9330. They could be of that nature. They could be real, actual questions, but you never know. We don't care. We send in what you want. We just want to get a pulse of what you guys are thinking. So yeah, that's your scouting, and we're gonna move into Just Wait Till Next Week. All right, our Just Wait Till Next Week is, for me at least, it's about hockey kind of getting a little bit exciting. Obviously, our teams aren't doing that great. The Hawks have to make this crazy push to get in the playoffs once again.
They lost last night, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, I know. They're really coming to a fork in the road here with it. They have to decide: are they going for draft picks, or are they going for the playoffs?
It's kind of the same thing. We were talking about this last. Remember the exact same conversation about probably the same time of the year.
Which way do you go? They went playoffs. I think they went the playoff direction, and it didn't work. So I don't know what they're going to do this year. I do feel like as a guy who's even more so a Red Wings fan, I've always observed the Hawks as kind of being a couple years behind on the Red Wings cycle, because the Red Wings are now fully embracing the rebuild, and they're trying to be the worst team of all time at the moment. So
what's the record right now? I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Pretty
it was
horrific.
It's nothing.
It's fantastic.
Too good.
Yeah, they lost against the Flyers last night. Got the job done. Let's see what the standings are. They're by 11 games at least the worst team in the league. Not even close. Let's see.
I
what the
did not
record
know
is.
that.
It's the beautiful record of 12-38. There we go. Yeah, that's what it is. 12-38. So they're definitely embracing the rebuild. Steve Yzerman's going to try to get himself some draft picks. I'm excited about it. I think let's just wait. Whatever.
These days you can get prospects in hockey that are so young. So I mean,
right? They fully embraced it. He's making moves. It is what it is. But I feel like the Hawks are a little bit behind on that, and they're still doing what the Red Wings were doing, which was trying to cling on to the last decade, I guess. That was the big thing, and the Red Wings are doing that throughout the 2010s, and I guess that might be true with the Hawks for the 20s. Hopefully not for long. I want to see both of them get good again, because that was fun.
Yeah. I mean, if you have players, though, it's so hard with the players. That they've been so great for so long, like Taves and Kane. I mean, it's hard to say an end to it. I mean, we kind of saw that too. I mean, just thinking back, to baseball too. I guess. I mean, when the Phillies when they got, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but kind of like the Ryan Howard age when he was. I mean, when they won the championship with Roy Halladay and him.
Yeah.
I mean, it reminds me of it's hard to say goodbye. I mean, I guess the best days of a franchise, but I mean, it's the Hawks. I mean, they really. It's hard to picture them even. I mean, getting past the first round kind of playoff scenario,
exactly.
But I mean,
I would love to see them end just simply because it's weird to me because the Red Wings had their 25-year playoff streak. So between that and the Hawks, up until sophomore year being in high school, now I'm a senior, I had at least one of my teams in the playoffs every single year of my life, and then all of a sudden, things have been over for a couple of years now, and so that's what's kind of been sad lately. So hopefully that'll change soon. I do think part of it for the Hawks would be to embrace the rebuild and just do a little bit of tanking, pick up some things, let some bad contracts go away. I mean, the biggest struggle with the Hawks has always been, the dynamic has always been, what are you doing with the core players? And having to protect them is expensive, and that's always been a big thing. And trying to get younger players in addition to that is really, really hard. So they're definitely going to have to start making more radical changes when they get the chance. I don't think Jeremy Colleton should stay as head coach, to be honest. I don't find him to be that much of a head coach. I've stated my problems with that at the past. Coach Q is doing pretty well for himself in Florida. There was at least somewhat of a sweeter end when he was in town lately.
It's weird
but
it's just still weird. See him. I mean, when he came back, I mean, it's just hard to see him. I mean, in any weird other organization, one of the greatest hockey coaches of all time. I mean, to leave. I mean, it would have been. I mean, if when they last won the cup, I mean, it would have been a fairy tale ending, I guess, to keep him in Chicago the rest of his coaching career. But I mean, it didn't work that way. But I mean, what could have been, I guess, if he could have stayed there? Because it just shows the greatness though of the Hawks of the 2010s. I mean, it's hard to look at it now, and we probably think about, they probably should rebuild. But I mean, we're past an era that was so great for Hawks fans.
It's hard to not say. It's hard to realize sometimes, but it's just true that we were so spoiled.
It's like the Cubs too. Like now thinking about it, like how spoiled we were, like just in 2015, and how quickly things can. I mean, the Cubs are still going to be a relevant team this next year, but I mean, it's just. I mean, there's always a window for the Bears too. Like we thought that 2018 would carry right over into this past season. That didn't.
Right.
So I mean, you got to take every season. I mean, every season's really precious, I guess, in any kind of sports. So because you never know when you're going to get back. So if you have the window, like the Cubs, they went forward in 2016, trading away Gleyber Torres to get a guy like Aroldis Chapman. So I mean, you can't hold on to prospects forever. That's kind of what the Cubs did. And I mean, I just think that. There's always a window, and you got to maximize.
Right, that's the biggest thing. But yeah, regardless, just looking forward to seeing hockey start to pick up. Hockey Day in America is next Saturday, I believe. But those longer days during the weekend are starting to pick up. So regardless, it's my favorite professional sport, so I'm gonna love it. And then I'm excited to see what our takes are from the XFL because it can go in many directions.
I'll try and watch. I'll definitely watch the highlights, maybe.
At least I know I'll watch that at least. I'll probably turn it on at some point, so we'll see what happens. It's throughout the weekend.
What channel is it? Is it on CBS? I assume.
There's a couple there's one game on ABC. There's like two on Fox, and there's one on ESPN. So it's a pretty solid mix of both the Fox and the ABC.
Yeah, because the
Fox
AAF was
Disney, basically.
I think that was just like NFL Network, maybe that they. I mean, people really wouldn't watch. I mean, if it's on ABC, like ESPN, I mean, those are bigger channels.
Yeah, no, it was pretty well hyped leading up to like right around the Super Bowl, so that was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, and being it right after the Super Bowl, I think that helps too, because people are, now desperate for football right away after the Super Bowl, because of the long drought we'll have.
There were a lot of people, who had their eyes on Super Bowl related things, especially at the end of last week, and there were XFL promos behind that, so that's the biggest thing, especially because Fox has rights to it, and they had the Super Bowl that year. So there was that connection that was able to happen, which was smart on part of the XFL. So. Definitely shout out to Vince McMahon on that one. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it could be anything. We could say it's terrible.
Yeah, it could be another AAF again.
Right, exactly.
Or it could be. And you never know, because they did have it in 2001 was the last time we had the XFL. But
right. It went pretty terribly in many ways. But I think that the innate concept was kind of exciting, and I think there's a reason why. The documentary about it, like the 30 for 30, was well liked and all that stuff, because I think people have a thirst for something like this. It's just a matter of pulling it off. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Michael, what are you looking forward to next week?
For next week, we have there's so much going on. I think I would say I'm most looking forward to the NBA All-Star game that's going to be in Chicago.
We're really picking up our
NBA
weekend. Talk next week.
Yeah, and also with Zach LaVine not being in. On the roster, he's going to be in the 3-point contest, but him not being in the dunk contest too is a pretty big deal, because I thought that
the lack of
Aaron Gordon's in there and he's not. So
the lack of Bulls in this Chicago All-Star game is sad. But
it just shows the state of the organization. They're just a total dumpster fire, to be honest.
Just non-existent. Like, to be honest, yeah, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
I still don't know how Jim Boylan still has his job with the Bulls
Right.
because and Garpax too. I mean, they've just been so bad for
Yeah.
so long.
consistently. So
I know.
yeah, I don't know. It's sad. I'm hoping that eventually I can get excited for NBA basketball in that way, which is unfortunately that has
At least
not
we
been
have
the case.
the Illini right now.
Yes, exactly.
Representing the state of Illinois. So
Illinois continuing to win. People are arguing that they might be the best team in the Big Ten. I don't know about that. I think Michigan State's still pretty good.
Michigan's. I mean, also it just shows the turnaround of Rutgers and I think we talked about
Right.
this last week, but Rutgers and
Just
Illinois have really
a
turned
great
it around.
Big Ten right now. So
Yeah,
yep.
Big Ten's probably has. I think we talked about this last week as well, but I think 12 team. No, I think maybe 11, 12 teams that are going to be in the tournament that are in the tournament based off Joe Lenardi's bracketology. But
I mean, that's out of the 14.
that is crazy.
There's two
That is
teams
crazy.
that
Yeah.
aren't in, which is pretty awesome.
Big Ten's just dominated over other conferences like the ACC and even the Big East. They've been really. I mean, they've been probably the best conference in the country this year. And all these. I mean, any team I think in the Big Ten right now, besides like a Northwestern, I mean, really could. I mean, possibly win a March Madness game besides a Northwestern and let's see. I mean, maybe Michigan, probably not right now with the way they've been playing. But
they've been on a slide.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah. College football will be. College basketball will be exciting, coming up. So, yep. That's all we got today. Congrats for sticking through and listening to this whole thing. We appreciate that. Even the part with the surprise part with Carson Ward. So subscribe to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, or RadioPublic. Give us a positive review, comment, do all that stuff. Participate. We want to start to build a community around the show here.
we have a community outside with Carson. I mean, he's always outside every time he records. So
let's. I think we can try to build things up here and get things exciting as we really kind of break into the normal format of the show. That's the biggest thing.
with March Madness coming up too, that's gonna be
That's
like
true.
we did last year with all the brackets. That'll be.
We should
really fun.
we should shout that out right now. Let us know through our email, sportscatspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you're interested in doing a bracket. We will bring anybody in. In case you guys don't remember, we do kind of in this format without video. We do a March Madness special in which every day between Selection Sunday and the first day of the tournament in which brackets are locked. For every single day, we fill out brackets with a variety of
Yeah, like
guests.
Monday through probably Thursday, I think the game starts.
Monday through Thursday. It's
Yeah.
usually we usually do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's usually 3 episodes, and we make them as long as we can. We get as many people in as we can.
We had Will Davis last year, Bill Avery,
right.
Carson Ward came on, Ryan Peters came on.
Lots of first time guests. We had
Shaw,
Corey
of
Homer come
course.
in as a
C-Boy.
teacher. Like so many people. So that was fun. But yeah, if you're interested in doing that, we will bring in anybody. Like we don't care how much you know about basketball. Actually, we encourage variety. So if you know nothing about basketball, and you're going to be choosing based off of colors. I am a fan of that.
And you'll probably do better than we would. So
yeah,
that's usually how it works.
That's usually how it works, exactly. So looking forward to that. Subscribe to watch on YouTube. And of course, read the Forest Scout. Things are picking up again. We had a lot of good articles recently. Had a nice review on the Peanut Gallery if you're looking for a local
Claire
LF
Waller with that.
coverage. Yep, for sure. A good article by Peters and Steve Forbes coming to speak at the high school.
I think in March, I believe.
And then the biggest thing that we have to shout out is Casey being on the ground for the Iowa caucuses was fantastic. He wrote a bunch of stories.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
And he also had a Twitter feed going on, so that was cool.
But what a mess that was, the Iowa caucus.
Yeah, for sure. So he's got coverage on that, which is awesome. Just everything picking up everywhere because things are really getting rolling here. So we're excited about that.
Keep an eye out for it, whatever comes out, because we're in the full swing of things, like Joey said. So
exactly. Every day there's going to be something. So look forward to that. And yeah, get ready for another week of Sports Scouts next weekend. In the meantime, we'll keep on scouting. See you guys later.
See you next week.